episode is Boiler Room Breakdown. This is sponsored by Selkirk TV. Let's do some match analysis here. Dun, dun, dun. Okay, so we got Jardim and Kovalova on our end here. On the far end, we have Irvine and Parento. This is in St. George. Look at how many people showed up on a snowy day in St. George.
They love their pickleball.
They freak. I mean, I tell you what, Utah picklers, they will show up, baby. They will show up. Okay.
It's one of the little hubs for pickleball is Utah, especially St. George.
All right, let's check this first point out here.
Third shot drive. Handles that right hip reset.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Got herself a good little dinking point here.
Okay. Look at Catherine move. Oh.
I mean, women's pickleball is so much more enjoyable than men's. I'll tell you what. Okay, so we're gonna slow this down here. Okay. Okay, so Simone's being aggressive at Catherine. Yeah. Catherine does a good job there. Resets.
Kind of stays off the line a little bit, anticipates another attack. Looks like they get to neutral here.
Okay.
Using her feet to find the forehand. Probably could have taken that one out of the air, and I think that kind of set the tone for defense. As the
Catherine does a good job of pinching. Okay, hang on real quick. So talk about cleaning up your mess. So she's on the. I think if you're on the left and you pop a ball up, you have to sit middle, right?
You're gonna pinch middle. Make them beat you inside out for sure.
For sure. So Catherine's being pulled out of position. She ends up hitting a lifting, pops it up high, squeezes middle. And Lucy with that big thumping forehand.
And yeah, she just, if you look at the fast exchange, generally speaking, if you're the one who's hitting your volleys and your feet aren't stationary and you're bouncing left and right, it just becomes very, very difficult to eventually win that exchange. So Simone and Lucy a little bit more feet under them as that exchange goes, and they're ultimately able to get Catherine a little bit off balance.
All of your power, all of your control comes from the ground up.
Okay. Use those big muscles.
Use them. Okay, point number 2 here.
Another third shot drive.
Like it. Simone's coming in, looking to be aggressive. Start and stay. Let's take a look here again. Okay, so she serves to Jessie. Looks like Simone initially takes the ball for Lucy's inside foot. And then to cause a little less confusion, looks like Simone's there again. Stays.
Slides over quite a bit, yep.
But this is a great example of kind of starting with that initial third off her inside foot and kind of staying there to a certain degree. But obviously once they got up, Simone sped up, she stayed middle. Main principle here is that if you're going to be aggressive in the middle, you got to keep your butt there.
And to me, both points, not that Catherine and Jessie did anything wrong, but both points were won by Simone and Lucy, to me, mostly because of court positioning, right? So even though, Catherine popped it up and she was able to step back and swat, it's just more challenging when you're off the line that much, even when you hit the ball big, to get it all the way through that wall when both your opponents are on the line. So you can extend some plays. There's certainly a time and a place to back up, but I think, there's something to be said for leaning in, not having to give up space in order to stay in control of the point and ultimately finish it off.
Okay, nice point here.
Okay, drop this time.
This looks like they switch sides here. Jessie is now on the left.
Both of them are wanting to stay in that backhand to backhand pattern. Okay, nice little flip and a nice little reset. Catherine's handling that right hip really well. It's an awkward ball.
Lovely. Catherine hits 2 blocks in a row. Simone's dinking middle a little bit.
Jessie sagged off the line a little here.
Okay, let's watch it again here. Let's slow this down. All right, Catherine sees Simone hitting a ball from her red zone, gives her license to come up, or gives the team a chance to come up there. Jessie hits that textbook knife.
She's got a pretty slice, doesn't she?
Yeah. We see Simone get pulled out of position and
so she resets middle. Yep,
like that.
Again, if you see a trend here, though, Simone's leaning in just a little bit more than Jessie here, where she needs to create space to set up that slice, but over time,
here it comes.
Gives you that smaller target.
Boom. Yep. And you see how she obviously built it up with some dinks out of the air. Speed up again. Catherine does a good job of buying herself some time. Giving herself a little height on her block.
First time Simone comes off the line, but she gets right back in and takes the next one out of the air. I think that's a big theme here.
See a lot
inside
of
foot.
Yep, see a lot of inside foot dinking here. Nice. That's good hands. And way to keep that two-hander short and sweet by Simone there. Catherine was able to find her hip, but she was able to really keep it short, keep it condensed.
What are your thoughts on Jesse's court positioning as the point finishes here? I don't know. For me, I'm a little less inclined to back up when the action's cross court from me. For the same reason that Jessie misses this ball, it's able to get down a little bit, and she ultimately misses the shot.
So this is what K-Mac's talking about right here. And actually, I'm gonna take it back a bit more. Okay, time right here. Okay, yeah. So Catherine's going head to head with Simone. Just like what Kyle mentioned, yeah, I think if you're head to head, that person that's crossed needs to be pinching middle. And from a partner standpoint, if I'm going head to head, I need to know that my partner's kind of on my, if I'm on the right, they're on my left shoulder and pinching. So yeah, I think she needs to be up.
Yeah, I think she had plenty of time where they were basically neutral in the point, where I think she could have taken that additional step up, where even if she anticipated a little bit of an attackable ball, because you're diagonal from your opponent, you already have a little bit more reaction time, just naturally. So for me, when the action's head to head and I'm anticipating an attack, I'm much more likely to take a step back and kind of block or surrender. But if I'm cross court, by stepping back, you open up some attacking angles cross court, and I think that's why she misses this last ball, because Simone was able to get that a little bit more down that she wouldn't have had the option for if Jessie would have been a little bit closer. She would have been in a better position to counter and not have to block.
Okay.
This little flip there.
That was a nice
pretty,
flip.
Look at that, yeah.
Okay, so hang on, I'm gonna stop it right. So, I haven't seen this out of Jessie yet, and so it looks like Simone's dropping cross court, okay, and Jessie's taking a flick at Lucy's forehand, but as she does, she's ready to clean up. So good job there by Jessie with using the backhand flip off the bounce, finding Lucy's armpit, and then sitting for that recounter with her forehand. As we know, if you speed up line and your opponent is late on the counter, it usually comes right back line. If your opponent sees it, then their counter is probably going to go. It might go middle, it might go cross court, but if it goes middle, that's a great time for you to transition your backhand speed up to a forehand recounter.
Yeah, and anytime your opponents are, they haven't neutralized yet, they're working their way in. If you've got a ball up and you disguise it a little bit. Lucy didn't do a bad job with her counter, but she was just a little bit off the line, a little bit surprised by it, and that's all Jessie needed, not to win the point with that initial speed up like we teach, but to really set yourself up for that second ball where you really take control of the point. She's sitting on it, point over.
For sure. I like it. It seems like Jessie usually speeds up with the two and not one.
Yeah, no, it was disguised because she's normally dinking when she uses the one hand. Little drive drop combo.
Got some D. Catherine does a good job of buying herself some time.
Nice little reset again.
You can play good defense if you have time.
Okay, now it's pretty neutral here.
So a good majority of these points, they are positioned like the waters. I mean, they're 3 feet off the line. I just worked with that crew the last 2 days, and we talked a lot about if you're going to speed up off the bounce, and K-Mac knows this, if you're going to speed up off the bounce, if you're a half volley master and you don't give up any court position, it's going to be extremely difficult to speed up off the bounce if you don't give yourself time. So we just kind of talked about, if here's the baseline. Here's 3 feet behind the baseline. You can dink in that area, and when you're dinking in that area, you have more room or you have more license to speed up off the bounce. So there's nothing wrong with giving up room. And when you give up room, you can hit push dinks, right? You can give yourself some more time, let that thing sit up a little higher.
Dink aggressively. You can find some offense with your dinking. You can find some offense with your speed ups. So, one thing we teach is the idea of, having that bigger anchor step where you keep 1 foot planted, you take a bigger step back, but you can even do more than that. You can just give more of a cushion and play the area I call the short transition zone, which you can play a little better defense there at times, and you can swing away. Granted, when you're hitting offensive shots, sometimes it takes a few more good ones to finally put it away, but there's certainly not one way to play out there.
Right.
Like we were talking about, women's is so much more exciting than men's at times. I think partially because of that, because court positioning, they sag back a little bit more. So some of these firefight exchanges last a little bit longer because ultimately it takes more shots to finally put the ball away when both teams are a little off the line.
Yeah, I think so. Let's go run this again. So Jesse pops this up. Catherine gets back.
She sags back. Yep, smart. Nice little pick up.
Nice. If you are in trouble in transition, do not bail. Look at the point. Okay.
It's definitely one where I would say, two-hander has a little bit more of an advantage over the one-hander. When you're off the line, the ball's up in that higher quadrant. It's a lot easier to generate some pace and power.
It's a lot easier to go down too.
It is.
Like
It's
tough to get this
to
one down.
To not use your wrist, to try to stay engaged
Yeah.
with the shoulder. I mean, even Ben would say this. Ben doesn't use the two-handed counter very often, but the times I've seen him is when the ball's kind of in this region here, to be able to have that strength to get that down. I don't think Catherine would have been able to win that point or get that through simply with a one-handed punch. Certainly a time and a place for that two-hander.
Nice.
Smart.
Yep. So this is like a typical Newman point, right? They're staying back.
Full scramble.
Riley is essentially Jesse right now, right? Okay, and I love that Catherine is swinging, sends a message.
Oh, just coming in hot. Jesse's going after it. I like it. I like it.
That's a great play.
So one thing I want to talk about, if we could replay this one, if you look at Jesse's court positioning when they're scrambling, she doesn't come all the way back with Catherine. And there's not one way to do it, but I think, if you feel confident enough in your ability to reset, even when the ball's a little bit higher, you can stay in that transition zone and clean up your mess quite often. And the beauty of not sagging all the way back is when either you or your partner gets a ball down, you can now, with your court positioning, shrink the court for your opponents and turn it into a poach. So sometimes just the visual presence of one being back and one being staggered, not all the way up at the kitchen line, but a little bit back, allows you to flip that switch and turn into that offense and feel both players coming in. So I kind of like how she, at times when she popped up a reset, she'd take one step back, but she wouldn't fully retreat all the way to the baseline.
Yeah. I think too, if you trust your defense like that, that is totally fine. And like the idea of that person being able to poach, not buying themselves that much time. Do know that obviously, this is on a cold day. This is on a cold day in St. George, and so to keep the ball down like Jesse did in the transition zone is very difficult.
Sure.
But let's say Plan B. Plan B. Let's say you haven't been moving back with your partner and you've been popping balls up. Nothing wrong with getting right back to square one. But from a higher level standpoint, for sure, if you can park your butt down, tip down, and you're able to take pace off in the transition zone off of high balls, and then also you can be a big presence. Definitely a huge benefit there.
Well, I think there's lower level, higher level. I think lower level, it makes sense to think about kind of moving in unison with your partner, staying even with them. I think higher level, when you're good enough to kind of clean up some garbage in transition, you can start your path forward and be a little more staggered as your partner's hitting the ball. Right. But I look at that mid-court as kind of, that's your decision moment, right? You can't get there and keep going, because if your partner pops it up, you're a target and the point's going to be over. But if you get there, you can kind of decide from there, based on the quality of your partner shot or your last shot, if you can sneak in a little further or maybe hold your ground or maybe one step back. But I think that's the difference in higher to lower level. You don't have to be even with your partner the whole way, because by being staggered, you can shrink the court and some of the angles available to your opponents.
Right.
Let me watch that a little bit here.
Okay, new point here. Okay, ladies are scrambling to get in. They got one down. Jesse does a good job of resetting and keeping it in front of her.
Plenty of height,
You notice as these ladies are being pulled out of position, they reset up the line and they keep it in front of them. Jesse's got some time there. Obviously, if she didn't have time, she'd be resetting line. So now they are back at, Jesse's scraping in. That's why. That's why right? she read the drop.
Oh, jeez.
Don't be the hero. Don't be the hero. I've been there so many times. That is so tough. You're back playing D. You finally get one down. You get a ball that's high. You swing.
That's a tough feeling.
No,
it's so easy to do, like you said, cold conditions.
Yeah, right,
the ball's really moving. Didn't look like she overhit that,
it didn't,
right?
It didn't.
It just sailed on it a little bit.
And something to think about too. If you're playing in temps like this, it's 40, 50 degrees. The Duraball is flying. Your technique with how hard the ball is going to be, and this kind of depends on what paddle you're using too. But just general technique is going to be shorter. It's going to be a lot smaller. Why? The ball's flying. The ball's going to feel like a rock off your paddle. It's cold. I personally feel like you can really shape the ball when it's cold. And so, if you're hitting a drive off a shorter return, I'd add lots of spin. If you're dropping, you can add lots of spin, but you can really flirt with the ball or flirt with that Duraball as it's like a rock and it's cold and it's rough. Just focus on shortening, keeping things tight. And adding spin because the ball sails.
Yeah, if you have a good clean contact point, like you said, power isn't going to be the answer. It's going to be more about the timing.
Right.
Let the pace of the ball and the coldness of the ball provide the power. You don't need to give anything extra.
Sure,
Just think clean and make sure you get that brush up the back of the ball.
Get that brush.
Get that brush going. Okay, another point here.
Okay, drive the third, drop the fifth, like it.
Get in together.
Use the drive to enhance your fifth.
Little half volley.
We see women using good spin here, slicing on the backhand. Lucy's trying to isolate Jessie.
They're trying to pick on that left foot of Jessie, forcing her to half volley a little bit more. She's handling it well.
Yeah, that's a good ball. Stop.
Look
at the D.
Jeez.
This is
no way.
This is Simone. Oh, no, get out of here.
Unreal.
Woo, that is the GOAT right there. Guys, it's probably one of the better points that we're watching.
To me, as we rewatch this, the theme of the point is, and we teach the same thing, is when you're in transition, when you're on defense, sure, you'd love for your reset to land perfectly in the kitchen, but understand the big thing is keeping it above the net, because even if it's high, even if you're having to deal with another aggressive shot, when you're sagged back like that, you have the time to get your paddle on it and be scrappy and stay in the point. So as they're scrambling here, right, I love the fact that they don't try to go for that perfect reset that gets them in right away.
Right.
They think, let's just continue to get the ball over, wait for our moment, right, and eventually it kind of works out for them here.
So something that I'm going to note here is Simone gets pulled out of position. Simone resets to Catherine's inside foot. I've used this speed up I've used this play as well, and I'll use it on players that I feel like aren't as mobile when they get pulled out of position, and they're looking to recover and get back in. But look, Jessie pulls Simone out of position.
Catherine leans in. Yeah.
Catherine leans in. She sees she's going to lift. As she leans in, she sees Simone still moving. Simone isn't quite set, and she goes after her. But Simone is able to bail herself out of hot, deep water.
And look at these. These resets are not anywhere near the kitchen, and that was a little lucky. I think it was an accidental lob.
Yeah. The old overhead winner from transition.
Right. Definitely where that last ball went on.
Catherine, leave it.
Was very awkward.
Yeah, right.
She was not expecting it to go there.
Right. Something to note here. If somebody drives at you, or if you're in a hand speed battle, if you feel like your hands get up late.
Yep.
Or you're fumbly up here and you think your hands are slow, you should maybe reconsider, because it could be your hands are slow, or it could very well be that you are hitting out balls. And
most of the time, I would say it's probably the latter.
Yeah.
Might have done that a couple times this morning.
It's so difficult not to be reactionary, but when the speed up is by your face.
Yeah, I mean, it's just instinct, self-preservation kicks in, and you're trying to protect this.
Yeah, just slide versus punch.
You got to do the matrix, right? You got to get out of the way.
Get the heck out of the way. Look at this. Come on. Scoot back. Heine on the ground. Look at that. Just get low, in, overhead.
And then a little bit of a gift that you don't normally see up there. All right, next point here.
Puts the return middle like that. Looks like Jesse's doing a lot with her third ball drive. Makes sense. It's cold.
Cold,
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. Use that third ball drive when it's cold.
Sometimes the drive drop combo's better in cold conditions. It's tougher to place that third perfectly and manage the shape. I like Jesse's court positioning a little bit better here. Seems like she's willing to take a little bit more out of the air.
Exactly.
And look at, she gets the pop up.
Good D. Good D. It's good. Good.
Nice.
All ladies are being very consistent with their ball in transition, getting that thing down, using some height,
Good
using
shape.
some margin.
Yep.
Yep. Really good defenders. Trust their height and find that shallow area. HEP, come on.
Ooh, pretty. Nice little defense. They both get
That was
back.
a great camera angle. Dumps one.
Fancy.
Jesse's there. Don't be hitting a dump volley on Jessie. She's there.
Oh, look at the close.
Oh,
Great
yeah.
read.
And that is a spanker coming at you. That thing usually comes back in a hurry. But take a look here. I mean, prime example of good defense is good offense. And she was able to buy herself a little time, get out of trouble. Watch this here. Get out of trouble. Boom. That gets on Simone pretty
When
quick.
have you noticed some of the shots in the middle of the point where they were scrambling and they're moving, they added a little extra height. It got popped up. It wasn't perfectly in the kitchen, but because they were back, they knew they had time to try again and wait for their right moment to go back forward, which she times perfectly here.
Yeah.
But like this ball here, she adds extra height. It's still able to be taken out of the air, but she sagged back. When she hit that dink, she didn't recover back to the kitchen line. She knew that she popped it up a little. So when she came back to the center of the court, she sagged off the line to just say, you know what, it's okay. I'm still going to be on defense. Keep the ball in front of me. Wait for a better time to move forward and make my opponents feel that offensive pressure.
Yeah. You ready here? Nice.
Oh, it's big.
Okay, so many points here. We're seeing, defense go to offense.
Oh,
Not by much. Not by much. I think somebody thought that ball was out on the line. Yeah, that's a big girl overhead. Probably one of the bigger overheads.
she probably has the most power, maybe in pickleball.
Yeah.
Very close on the women's side.
Definitely.
What a pickup! No way.
Stop. Speed up. Short and sweet. Yeah, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. Lucy dug that thing out, and it got down.
I think this is a play, with her pickup here that she played a little bit earlier. Even people who do not use two hands on the backhand very often, I think a lot more people, when it's just powered at you right at your ankles, sometimes adding that second hand and letting that left shoulder take over just gives you a little bit more strength and stability to not put the ball perfectly in the kitchen, but just stay alive in the point when your opponents are hitting a shot at their full strength. So I've seen a lot of people that don't normally use two hands only use two hands in that situation of just extreme defense.
Nice. Backhand. It's good D. Yeah, as we see here, it's not just the offense that's doing it. A lot of these points are being scrapped out. They're scrambling. They're on defense, and they're able to bring themselves back in their point.
Tip down, pick up there.
One thing that we do see is that when somebody starts with that forehand middle, generally they stay. Less confusion, whether I'm dropping or I am being aggressive with my fourth and my sixth. If I start, love the idea of staying. Goes again. Yeah, it's pretty good. That's pretty good. Looks like she was all over that.
They're not trying to say, they're not panicking and saying, oh, the other team's in control. I've got to instantly get it in the kitchen and get back to the line. They're waiting. They're giving themselves plenty of shape, and they know that it only takes one that gets down, and that's their movement to transition and come in, and she times her counter really well. But if they would have panicked or been a little antsy and tried to get forward earlier before it was the right time, the point would have been over and not in their favor earlier.
Puts the return on loose. Drives line. Simone drops to 5th.
Resets middle here.
Resets middle.
Stay in that backhand pattern here.
Who's got the better knife?
She's moving, so she resets middle again. Ball's a little bit more in her stance. Goes a little. Oh,
there's a little room. K-Mac may have gave me a few ATPs today on the right. I mean, talk about a generous man. I'll say I may have hit 10. I mean, it was a record on the right.
You know, it's tough to get control with Tyson cross court.
It was a record on the right.
And I get a little antsy with moving him a little too much.
Angle.
And Tyson is I played with him enough to know he's about 95%. If you give him a sliver, he takes it. I should know better.
Nice. Yep, up. I'd like to know, out of all the points that we've seen, what percentage of time does the team that scoots back at the baseline and comes back up, how often are they winning the point?
Yeah,
it's pretty high. It's pretty high.
I mean, where you'd think it'd be like 10%.
No, right.
It's probably been like 35 or 40.
And just like what you mentioned, it's all due to trusting that you can play good defense if you have time, not rushing, and when you come up in a balanced, organized manner. And over time, with you doing that and playing good defense, it sends a message. It puts pressure on your opponents, makes the court look small, and at the end of the day, when I play the Newmans, I feel like the ball is tiny. I feel like I'm playing on a half a sliver. But it's very Newman-like.
Yeah.
Very Newman-like.
Well, I think it's kind of there's an evolution in pickleball IQ. I think when people start and they haven't played very much, they're way too comfortable just wanting to stay back at the baseline, right? And so they play a little bit more and they hear, oh, you got to get into the net, you got to get into the kitchen line. And then a lot of people in that intermediate skill level, when they're playing defense, they don't do a nearly as good a job as they could because they're thinking, oh, I can't be back at the baseline. This is not a winning position. I have got to instantly get up. And then it comes full circle as you advance a little more where you realize, yes, the ultimate goal is not to stay back. I want to ultimately get up, but there's nothing written in stone that says I have to get up right now.
Right.
I can pick my moment. I can wait. And the other team feels so much more pressure, hitting smash after smash after smash, and the court starts to shrink after a while. So I just think that's the evolution in how we think about getting up is, yes, that's where we want to get, but there's nothing that says we have to get there before we're ready to and before we've kind of analyzed the right factors and conditions.
If you guys have not subscribed to the McGuffin Pickleball Club, make sure you do that. Like, subscribe, and turn those notifications on to the McGuffin Pickleball Club. We are posting instructional videos, vlogs, pod episodes on Monday, Wednesday, and then Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, we are posting shorts. So if you guys want to tune into the content, the main content is Monday, Wednesday, and then shorts Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. K-Mac, anything or any last notes for the viewers?
Well, if you're not subscribed now, you really should be.
I mean, come
it's
on.
free. I mean, I would say,
it's free.
Just about everything else would be comparable as far as quality is more of a subscription, right? So if you're not subscribed now, what are you doing?
Right. I mean,
get on there.
You can pay $10 a month for 360. You can pay $10 a month for Coach Me, or you can sign up for free to the McGuffin
It's
Pickleball
true,
Club.
and I'm sure both of those are good value at $10 a month. But it's tough to beat free, and the value is pretty good. The production value is pretty decent. Get on there. Get
on it. My name is Tyson McGuffin. This is the McGuffin Show, episode 31. Pretty cool. See you guys, episode 32.
Gotta get it,